To watch these important lessons, subscribe to DP Education's YouTube channel right now. Click on the bell icon to stay updated on the latest lessons. Sri Lanka's largest free online school, DP Education.
Right, children. Now we are going to start the third chapter of this lesson. So in the previous chapters, we learned about rocks and minerals. There are different types. And in the second chapter, we learn about weathering of rocks, right? So in this chapter, we are going to learn about the rock cycle. What is rock cycle, children? Let's go through this. The continuous process in which the three types of rocks are created, changing from one form to another, is known as the rock cycle, right? So here, under this rock cycle, we are going to learn one type of rock is formed by change in another type of rock. Now we learn about three different types of rocks: igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic rocks, right? So under this rock cycle, we are going to learn the formation of igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic rocks take place in a way of cycle. Okay, children, in a form of cycle, this formation of rocks take place, right? So the steps of the rock cycle are given below. We will underline this first. This is the definition. The continuous process in which the three types of rocks are created, changing from one form to another, is known as rock cycle, right? So what are the steps? Okay, the first step, we will start by formation of igneous rocks. You can just start this by any place, because this is a cyclic process. I'm going to start this by formation of igneous rocks. How the igneous rocks are formed, children? Igneous rocks are formed by cooling down of lava that comes to the surface of the earth during volcanic eruptions, right? We will write down that. Right. Igneous rocks are formed due to cooling down of lava flows during volcanic eruptions. Right, children? Igneous rocks are formed due to the cooling of lava flows during volcanic eruptions. That's the formation of igneous rocks. Then what about sedimentary rocks? These igneous rocks break down into pieces. This is known as weathering of rocks. And they are taken by water and wind to other places, and they deposit in another place, and then sedimentary rocks are formed. Okay, we'll write down this as well. Igneous rocks weather and the pieces deposit on other places and form sedimentary rocks. So igneous rocks are formed due to the cooling of lava. Now igneous rocks weather, which means breaking down of rocks, and the pieces deposit on other places and form sedimentary rocks. Okay, children. Then the formation of metamorphic rocks. How does the formation of metamorphic rocks takes place? Due to many reasons like earthquakes. What happens, children? Igneous and sedimentary rock pieces go deep down the earth, and then because of temperature and pressure changes, they form metamorphic rocks. Okay, we will write that as well. Number 3. Right. During earthquakes, igneous and sedimentary rocks. Rocks go deep down the earth. We'll write in short form. Deep down the earth and metamorphic rocks form. During earthquakes, igneous and sedimentary rocks go deep down the earth and metamorphic rocks form. So 3 types of rocks are formed. How to form? Now you all know if this happens as a cycle, from this type of rocks, again the first type of rock should form, igneous rocks, right? Igneous rocks turn into sedimentary rocks, sedimentary turns into metamorphic rocks. Now metamorphic rocks, how does metamorphic rocks change into igneous rocks again? In order to produce a formation of igneous rocks, you all know that lava or magma should be there. So in the inner part of the earth, some of these metamorphic rocks are subjected to high temperature and they melt. Magma is produced. Not only metamorphic rocks, sometimes sedimentary rocks that go deep down also, that can happen. Igneous rocks also the same. Okay, we will write due to extreme temperature. Due to extreme temperature, metamorphic rocks. Now why? Because metamorphic rocks are the rocks that form because of high temperatures and pressure. If they go through further temperature changes, it can even form into magma again, okay? Temperature, metamorphic rocks turn into magma. Magma means molten rocks. So then magma again during volcanic eruptions, magma flows out as lava. Lava forms igneous rocks. Igneous rocks form sedimentary rocks. Sedimentary rocks form metamorphic rocks. Some of the metamorphic rocks turn into magma again. So this happens as a cycle. Okay, so these are the 4 main steps of the rock cycle. Okay, we can write it even as even in a cyclic way. We'll check that. Right, so following is the summary of the rock cycle. So we can, like a cyclic process, we can write it. I will show you how to write. We will start with one place. Here I will start with magma. Magma. So when magma cools down, igneous rocks are formed. Here we will write down cooling. Magma, due to cooling process, what is formed? Igneous rocks are formed. We will write down the names of the rocks in different color. Igneous rocks. Igneous rocks. Then what happens? The igneous rocks, what happens? Igneous rocks break down. Weathering takes place and these weathered particles, these broken particles go into another place and they deposit in that place. This is known as sedimentation, right? Here we will write weathering and sedimentation. Sedimentation. Due to weathering and sedimentation, what type of rocks are formed, children? Sedimentary rocks. This should be sedimentary rocks. Right? So then what happens? Sedimentary rocks. Now here, igneous rocks also changes to metamorphic rocks. But as this go as a cycle, we will consider sedimentary rocks. What happens? Due to high temperature and pressure, inside the earth, what happens? Sometimes during volcanic eruptions, sedimentary rocks can go into the inner parts of the earth, right, deep down the earth, and because of high temperature and pressure, it changes to metamorphic rocks. Okay, so sedimentary rocks, what happens then? Exposed to, due to exposure, exposed to high temperature and pressure. High temperature and pressure. And then what type of rocks form, children? Metamorphic rocks. Metamorphic rocks. And then we can consider metamorphic rocks. So metamorphic rocks, some of these metamorphic rocks still subjected to extreme temperatures and they melt and form magma, right? Subject to extreme temperature. Subject to extreme temperature, and then what happens, children? Again forms magma. So the cycle is completed, right? Magma cools down to form igneous rocks. Igneous rocks, due to weathering and sedimentation, sedimentary rocks are formed. Sedimentary rocks exposed to very high temperature and pressure in the inner earth, and metamorphic rocks formed. Metamorphic rocks subject to extreme temperature, and again magma is formed. So remember, children, even though we wrote this cycle like this, you all know that metamorphic rocks can be formed due to igneous and sedimentary rocks both. Here we need to make it as a cycle. That's why we straight away came from sedimentary rocks. Right, children? We'll move on to the next. A picture depicting the rock cycle is given below. Now we wrote it as a list. We wrote it as a cycle. A picture is also given for you all to understand it better, right? Look at this. Here, this is magma. And this is a volcano during volcanic eruption. Now this starts from here. Look at this number 1, 2, 3. We'll go through this, right? So here, this is given as internal igneous rocks. Igneous rocks can have present even under the upper part of the earth as well, right? So here, magma comes out and cools down and igneous rocks formed, right? Igneous rocks can form due to cooling down of magma. Now here you all can see weathering igneous rocks flowing into see-through rivers, okay? Due to, after breaking down of igneous rocks, due to weathering of igneous rocks, with water, with wind, what happens? The pieces of igneous rocks here falls into river. You all can see these tiny pieces become sedimentary rocks because of sedimentation, because of depositing as layers and layers. Okay, it turns into sedimentary rocks here. So then what happens? These sedimentary rocks, because of earthquakes, what happens? They go deep down the earth. Here number 3. Sedimentary rocks go deep down the earth due to earthquakes, and then what happens? They turns into metamorphic rocks. Here, in order to indicate these metamorphic rocks, these wavy lines are given. We observe these wavy lines on these pictures. In that schist rock given in the lesson, we observe that, right? So here, metamorphic rocks. Then metamorphic rocks further gets heated up, and because of very high temperatures, and they melt. Rock melting takes place and magma is formed. This magma again during volcanic eruptions flow out as lava, and the same process takes place. Right. How long does it take for this rock cycle to happen, children? So now you can understand that inside this rock cycle, weathering of rocks also take place, breaking down of rocks also take place. So how long does this process take place to happen, to complete, children? It takes not a day or two, not a week or a month, not even years. This takes millions of years, a very long period of time. Okay, it takes millions of years for a rock cycle to get completed. Right, children? So even though we learned a lot of steps like this, even though it seems like a very simple process, now you can understand in order to complete a rock cycle, it takes a very, very long period of time. Right, children? Okay, we'll move on to the next. Here, rock cycle again given as a cartoon picture, okay? The following figure explains more about the rock cycle. It is given as cartoon pictures. I think you will enjoy this better. Okay, children, because small children like cartoon pictures like this. So with this one, I think even the ones who did not understand the stages of rock cycle, when you go through this picture, you will understand it very easily. Here, number 1. Look at this. This is a volcano. This is a volcano. We are very hard, aren't we? Which type of rocks are very hard, children? Igneous rocks are very hard. And you all know that igneous rocks form around volcanoes. So we can simply, these are the igneous rocks. Igneous rocks. Now here, oh, I'm falling down. What is falling down? You all know during weathering of rocks, pieces of igneous rocks move to another place. Here, oh, I'm falling down, and now here, it is in an oceanic bottom, right? My rough edges will get smoothened. This also happens because of weathering of rocks, okay? And here what happens? This is also weathering of rocks. Here number 2, oh, the sea. I can be with these friends in this sea. So here what happens? These pieces of rocks deposit on oceanic bottoms and many other places too. In this picture, it's in an oceanic bottom. It gets nicely pressed together and sedimentary rocks are formed. So this is sedimentary rock. Sedimentary rock. Now here what happens? What is it? An earthquake. We are sliding down. During earthquakes, what happens, children? Rock surfaces go deep down the earth, and then what happens? Because of many changes take place due to pressure changes, due to temperature changes, a new form of rocks are formed called metamorphic rocks, right? So here, this is metamorphic rock. Metamorphic rock. Look at this one. It gets nicely pressed. Because of the pressure only here, this structure looks flat. Right? Now then, this extreme pressure and temperature will melt me. Metamorphic rocks, when certain metamorphic rocks go through further changes because of extremely high temperatures, again, it melts, and when rocks melt, what happens, children? Magma is formed, okay? So this extreme pressure and temperature will melt me. Hey, we are going back. When it's melted, what happens? Magma forms. Magma. So here, hey, we are going back. Back means during volcanic eruptions, again magma comes out. Right, children? So we learn the rock cycle, the same rock cycle in 4 ways. Right? So we learn it as a list, we learn it as a cycle, and we learn it using a picture, and here using a cartoon diagram. Okay, children, now I'm sure you understood about this rock cycle pretty well. Right, we'll move on to the next. Okay, we have this assignment to do. Making a model which depicts the rock cycle. We'll go through this. Create a model of a volcano using clay. Right? So using clay, using natural clay, or even using Play-Doh, you can make this. Use paint and sawdust and make the outflow of lava and creation of igneous rock. Okay? So using different materials, not only here it's given sawdust and paint. Okay? Using paint you can color, but instead of sawdust you can use other substances as well. Right? So you can use tiny pieces of clay balls, or you can even use pieces of paper made into balls, right? And then after making it, use gravel, sand and clay to represent the formation of soil through rock weathering from below the igneous rocks. So simply you have to make a rock cycle. Now here, only some examples how to do it. An example is given here, but you can be creative here. You can use other materials as well, right? Sometimes you must have seen in science exhibitions, some children, they make these type of models. You also can, as group activities, you also can make a model like this. Even using the internet, you can get more ideas to make something like this, right? Using waste materials, you can easily make a model like this, children. You don't have to buy materials from the stores. Actually, if you think carefully, if you pay attention, even using waste materials, you can make these type of structures. Okay, children? So try to do it with your friends. We'll move on to the next. So this is our last topic of the lesson. Sustainable use of rocks and minerals. What is the meaning of sustainable use, children? So when you consider energy sources, different resources, we can always consider about using them sustainably. What is the meaning of sustainable use of resources, children? Sustainable use of resources means while we are using now natural resources, we have to use for different purposes. So while we are using it, we have to think about the future generations as well. So we have to use it, we have to leave part of it for the future generations, children. Right? So in this way, we have to use the resources or natural resources without wasting them. Right, children? Okay. So rocks and minerals are valuable resources for a country. So in the same way, rocks and minerals are non-renewable sources, children. What is the meaning of non-renewable sources? So when you consider non-renewable resource, here what happens, children? They take a long time of periods to form. So we learn about rock cycle. When we learn about the rock cycle, we learn that in order to complete the rock cycle, how long it takes? About millions of years, such a long period of time. Right? So if we finish all the rocks and minerals for other purposes without being careful, what will happen? Our future generations will not get a chance to enjoy them. Right, children? So we always have to think about the others as well. So rocks and minerals are valuable resources for a country. Right? Therefore, minerals and rocks should be sustainably utilized cleverly and in an environmentally friendly manner so that future generations may use them too. Right? So there are a lot of minerals that can be found naturally in Sri Lanka. Even earlier we learned some examples. We'll see here. The following table shows some minerals that can be found in Sri Lanka. So Sri Lanka is rich in minerals. We'll go through this list. So here in this column, the mineral is given. In this column, areas it can be found given. Here, uses given. Right? So some of these uses I already mentioned. Okay? So apatite can be found in Epavela. Right? Apatite can be found in Epavela. Uses is to produce phosphate manure. Manure means fertilizers. Right? And dolomite can be found in Kandy, Martale, Badulla, Habarana, Ratnapura areas. Dolomite is rich in calcium. Therefore, it is used to produce lime. Okay? So, and also it is used to produce manure, fertilizer. Okay? Calcium containing fertilizers. And then feldspar. Feldspar can be found in Koslanda, Talagoda areas, right? Feldspar is used for ceramic industry to produce glass, right? Or glass industry as well. And then ilmenite. Do you remember I showed you all this ilmenite? It is ilmenite sand. Ilmenite as a powder I showed you all, a very shiny black color powder. Okay, ilmenite can be found in Pulmud area. Okay, so what is the use? It is used to produce paint, okay, and also to get titanium because ilmenite contains titanium. Graphite is used in pencil industry. Graphite can be found in Bogala, Kahatagaha, Kolonna, like places, okay. So the uses, to produce pencils. This is the most important one we discussed here. What are the some other uses also there? To produce pencils, crucibles and lubricants. Okay? Mica. Mica can be found in. Mica is that structure we observed as a sheet-like structure. Okay? Mica. Variapola, Haldumulla, Madampe-like places. Okay, what are the uses? For electric and electronic equipment. To make circuits, sometimes we need mica. Okay? So, kaolin. Kaolin is a type of clay. It is used in ceramic industry. Okay, kaolin. Kaolin can be found in Borlasgamua, Mitia, Goda-like places. Okay? So, here uses for ceramic industry. Specifically, this kaolin clay is used. Right, children? So, these are only some minerals present in that can be found in Sri Lanka. There are many other minerals as well. So, you can find what are the other minerals that present in Sri Lanka. Right? And you can find what are the areas that you can find these minerals and their uses as well. Right, children? We'll move on to the next. So, some minerals are named after Sri Lankans. Let's see. This is interesting. Aconite mineral is named by the name of Sri Lankan scientist F.L.D. Ekanayaka. This is Mr. F.L.D. Ekanayaka, right? It is named after him because he was the person who discovered this mineral. Okay, so aconite mineral was discovered by a scientist called F.L.D. Ekanayaka. Right, children? Therefore, this mineral is named after him. Okay, children? So, exporting minerals bring a lot of foreign exchange to our country. Now, you know that these minerals are used in different industries. Therefore, we export them to the other countries as well. Okay? So, it brings a lot of foreign exchange to our country. Right? But somehow, if we are able to use these minerals as raw materials to produce different products, and exporting those products may bring more foreign exchange to the country. So most of the time what we do is, our country does it, we export these minerals as it is, as raw materials. Right? So if we can make the products, right, produce the different products related to these type of minerals, we can make more money. Okay? Now here for example, mica. Mica is used in electrical and electronic circuits. Okay, so mica we export as it is. And at the same time, when we import these goods produced using mica, it is more expensive. So if we can find ways to produce the goods itself, okay, these products itself, we can make more money. Okay, children? So now we know that rocks and minerals are very important, very valuable, and at the same time they are non-renewable. Rocks and minerals are non-renewable resources. Therefore, it is our responsibility to use them very carefully and save them for future generations. This type of use of any kind of resource while we are using, save something for future generation, is known as sustainable use of resources. Okay, children? We'll move on to the next. One last assignment we have to discuss. Prepare an article about the minerals that can be found in Sri Lanka and their uses. Now we just learn about them in this table. Right? So you can find more information, children. Just don't stop by studying these things. Right? These are only some minerals. You can find more examples for this when you do your assignment. Okay, children? So exhibit it on your wallpaper. You can find more information and you can collect pictures as well. Okay, so when you do something like this, when you exhibit on your wallpaper, you can share your knowledge with the others as well. Right, children? So we have completed the lesson now. We'll go see the summary of the lesson. Right? Minerals are formed with a single component, while rocks are made of several components. The main difference between the rocks and the minerals. Okay? Rocks can be categorized into three groups as igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks and metamorphic rocks. So we learn how they are formed and examples of them too, right? Soil is formed physical, chemical and biological weathering of rocks, right? Soil is formed from physical, chemical and biological weathering of rocks, okay? The process in which three types of rocks change in from one form into other form for a very long time period is known as the rock cycle, okay? And finally we learned rocks and minerals are very valuable resources and they have to be conserved. We have to use them sustainably, right? So lesson we have completed. Now in the next chapter we need to do the exercise. So as usual, before you watch that chapter, you have to write the answers by yourself and then watch the chapter and you can understand what are the places that you have mistakes and thereby you can learn the lesson more.
To watch these important lessons, subscribe to DP Education's YouTube channel right now. Click on the bell icon to stay updated on the latest lessons. Sri Lanka's largest free online school, DP Education.